Have you ever met someone and you think, how could they have accomplished so much in just one lifetime? Well, I am so happy to have with me today a gentleman who spent decades fighting fires and helping people through emergencies. That also included delivering babies that came into the world quickly. In California, he started his career as a firefighter in 1963. He also calls himself a cowboy and has experience training horses, living and working on a ranch. And not only did he ride horses, he also loved riding motorcycles. Now, did I mention he's a cowboy poet? I'm so excited to have Duke Herrick here with me today. So thanks for being here with me, Duke. I'm just so excited to share this story. After the interview, I'd also like to tell you all to please stick around, and we're going to talk to the manager of Pueblo Norte Senior Living, and that's where Duke lives. They have some really amazing changes coming about, including the addition of a memory care this fall. And you're also going to get some information about Dr. Newcomb and ASAP Health Services that allows residents to come in. They don't have to leave the apartment. And Homewell Care Services also has an office on site, so it can keep people independent as they live in their apartments, and they might just need a little bit of help, maybe just with laundry or with maybe some med management or cleaning, like light housekeeping, running errands, that type of thing. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started with the interview. So thanks for being here, Duke.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. Now, you have an interesting career as a firefighter in California, and that started back in 1963. I'm sure you saw a lot of changes during your career, and I wondered if you could describe with us some of your early experiences as a firefighter.
Well, quite a few stories I could bend your ear for some time, but I started, I think, in a time when, right at the starting of all the big changes on the department. I came on when all the rigs were convertibles. We rode on the tailboard. They were all gas rigs. We had no hazmat, no paramedics. Our first aid kit was a tackle box with some Band-Aids in it. And
can you imagine?
Some leftover fish hooks, probably.
Oh,
and it just progressed and got better and better. And I kind of got the heart of the watermelon, so to say, as watching it grow. And did I say we had no emergency air?
No, you didn't
Scott
mention
Air Packs.
Oh my gosh.
And I came on about a few months before they got Scott Air Packs. And one of the first fires that went on was a real black smoke coming out of an apartment complex. And at that time, when the smoke gets down, I mean black, and it actually makes a layer, so you can get underneath that layer and get in there. That's where the oxygen is, and do what you have to do. Make a long story short, I got into the small bathroom after we had tossed this mattress out the window, because that's what caused the fire. Oh, and by the way, that's all smoke. As soon as they got enough air, as we're trying to get it through the window, it breaks into flames because it has air now. So now we got a flaming mattress trying to get out the window. Wow. So anyway, we jumped that out, and I went in the restroom, and I went down like this to get in there, and I saw these two legs standing there. Somebody standing at the kitchen sink, or at the bathroom sink. It was the battalion chief. He's just standing in there doing his thing, and I met him outside, and of course he's sucking in all that bad air over the years he had on the job, and
yes.
He dies, 3 or 4 years later after retired of smoke inhalation and stuff.
Oh gosh, yeah. So I'm sure that smoke inhalation
it was bad. So
bad for you.
I didn't get on the training department too much. They changed the system over when I came on. They had a 4 to 6 week training program, but at this time they decided to train the guys while they're on the job. He gave us a couple weeks, and then during the day, or at night, we'd just go to the department and be on the rig.
I see.
So we got hands-on first training.
Well, that's the best training of all, right? When you're
Yeah,
just
you
actually
don't
doing your job.
Cause any more problems, than you already have.
So did you battle forest fires as well?
We had task force that gathered up with other departments, and each department would send a rig, and they'd go, 20 or 50 miles or wherever the fire was, up to beach area or up towards Frisco, and they do their thing. But I've watched the forest fires come at me and Oceanside, California had pretty bad fire. It was going to take the city out, and I was on the first line defense there on the top of the mountain as far as the closeness getting to a forest fire as such.
Can't imagine how scary that must be.
Well, it was pretty bad. They brought the task force down, and right on the ocean, and we go up to the furthest perimeter of the city and high rent district, and there's a small parapet wall on their back porch, and they have the nice backyard, and you can go out. But the fire's down, but it hasn't come towards the city yet. So they set us up I was between two houses, and there'd be a firefighter. Every two houses, there'd be a firefighter with a hose line and waiting see what happened to the fire.
Yes.
Well, during the day, the people were really nice. They'd come in there all drinking on the back porch, having cocktails and watching the fire about 10 miles away. So they took the task force. They brought us back down to an area for us to have a quick meal. And we were watching the sunset, and the horn started blocking, and then we turned around, and there was a sunrise behind us. The fire had turned around and was coming towards the city. So we had all these fire engines, and everybody goes all the way up there.
Because they can change direction so quickly, right?
Yeah, we were all in a big parking area, We blew up to the top of the mountain, and we already knew how we were going to get lined out. So, but we still had to pull hose and get everything ready. And the fire's coming at us, and it's getting closer and closer. And I could feel, I'm in a Scott air pack then. I had a Scott on and my turnout gear. And I could feel the fire pulling for oxygen, because it makes a roar like a freight train. And it only gets its oxygen from the ground, because the flames are in the heat up here. And so there was steel furniture against the building out, patio furniture. Yes. It was sucking all that patio. That's how strong the wind was. It was pulling all that patio furniture and throwing it against that little parapet wall that I was on.
Yeah.
So I needed about the time I was ready to get down behind the wall, I saw this other firefighter was on the other side of the wall. He was a county guy, and he had one of these long, they shoot balls of fire out. And he goes as fast as he can, because that's where the fire is coming. Yeah. And so we set a backfire. So that it's sucking air. That backfire grows into the little one grows into the big one.
Yes, you have to know a little bit about fire.
Hopefully, the little one got bigger, closer to the big one before the big one got where it already
I've heard
had
a little
burned.
About that.
So
I see. Yes.
So all that's happening at the same time, and then I run out of air. I ran out of air on my Scott pack. So you reach behind here and you uncouple it, and you do whatever you can to get it down in your coat and down in the crotch of your pants. That's where you stick the air out. So you're breathing air out of the crotch of your pants now.
Oh my gosh.
Instead of the smoke.
Gosh.
And I got down on the parapet wall. It's all simultaneous. And then that's when the stuff really started coming, and then the flames came over the top.
Oh man.
And believe it or not, like a Roman candle, I was standing in a Roman candle.
Oh, gosh.
Honestly, sucking air out
So
the best I
dangerous.
could, standing in a Roman candle, and all the stuff's coming down.
Yes.
And
We owe so much to our
and
firefighters for risking their lives like that. Gosh.
we ran out of water.
Ran out of water. Oh my gosh.
Not only me,
Can't believe you
the
made it out of
whole
there.
city ran out of water. No fire, no pumper, and all the guys, we all ran out of water
Wow.
right at the same time that the fire just died out.
Wow.
It was simultaneous.
Angels up
It was
above were
unbelievable.
making sure that it didn't get out of control.
And,
so, oh wow. What a story. That is incredible.
But the city ran out of water.
Wow. Well, I want to switch gears a little here, and I know you consider yourself a cowboy, clearly, and so you've got experiences with horses and living on a ranch. So tell me a little about your first experiences as what we would consider a cowboy.
Well, I was a young man in my younger years. I didn't end up being a cowboy as such. You know, I got more cowboy in my blood than I have years in the saddle. But my dad and the family, we had a cattle ranch in Laramie, Wyoming. They had uncles in Montana at the same time. And so I grew up in it and punched a few cattle. I didn't do any branding. Wasn't very good at roping, but I could set a horse pretty good. And then Dad, after the WW2, wanted to, he didn't want to buck hay and punch cattle anymore, I guess. So he became a contractor and moved to Southern California, learned the building trades. So I traded my horse in for a hog.
Yes.
And rode Harleys.
Yes. So tell me a little about those experiences. I know you loved riding motorcycles.
Well, it just reminded me of the freedom I had on horseback, and it pretty much kind of bookends as far as that's concerned. Motorcycle and a horse.
I could see that.
So I just would ride whenever I could, wherever I could. But I usually would get up in the high country and head somewhere, point A to point B.
What kind of a bike did you have?
Well, first one was a low rider, and I had a dresser, a street glide, a road glide, a chopper, and I made a trike for my wife, so she could ride her own bike instead of sitting behind me.
Oh yes.
And so it was a lot of good years, you know, probably at least 35 in the saddle.
Wow.
And a number of years afterwards, I had the stroke in 17, so I took my eyes out, so couldn't ride bike anymore. I could still sit a horse though.
Oh, sure.
So,
well, that's wonderful. I know there's a lot of freedom with riding a motorcycle, and I'm sure those were good memories.
Yeah.
Now, I know that going along with being a cowboy, you have a very, very interesting hobby, and that is writing cowboy poetry. So I know that there are some cowboy poet organizations here, especially in Arizona, where we're known for our Wild West history. So I love that. What made you get started writing?
Well, I think I actually started just writing. It didn't end up being the cowboy poetry genre. When I was a young man, but I was an only child, so I always did a lot of thinking, I guess.
Oh, sure. So you liked expressing your thoughts on paper.
Enough talking, but I'd think about things, and I'd write my thoughts down, and problems that people were going through. I might hit my head, and I might think about something and write a thought. I didn't write any journals as such. But in fact, I picked one up the other day, and I opened it up, and the last time I wrote in it was, I think, 1962.
Oh my gosh.
So
you have been writing for a lot of years.
I don't make the journal entries that much often, that's for sure.
Oh my gosh.
But I enjoy the cowboy poetry, the rhyme, and that's pretty much in my blood, so I picked up that.
Well, in a little bit, I'm gonna have you share a poem. I looked through dozens of poems and I picked one out that I really like. And so in a minute, I'll have you read that. But I'd like to ask you a little, so you live here at Pueblo Norte, Senior Living in Scottsdale. What do you like about living here?
Well, I like I guess primarily it'd be the choices that you have. I'm pretty much been a loner most of my life, and so I like the quiet time, and I don't have to put myself in the other things, but there's so many to choose from. And the 22 acres we're sitting on you can get a nice walk right inside the 22 acres.
No, that's true.
And they have a flood control channel park over with a key to the gate that we walk right into.
Yes, and there's some horses around there, right?
Which has been really nice for my dog.
Yes.
My dog Newt, 14, he made it 14 years. It's September 20th. So I primarily believe it or not, picked this place because of my dog.
Oh, yes, lots of places to walk.
I checked another place out, and I had contacted other places in mail and calling them. And this was the best place for him, so
that's wonderful.
I wanted to.
So you figured your dog would like it.
Yeah,
dog's amenities were more important than what you wanted, right?
But the people here are really
good to know.
Really genuine.
They seem to be, for sure.
The caregivers.
Yes.
Really good caregivers here.
Now you seem to be so optimistic. What do you think you would say to your, I guess if I could tie it together, like how do you stay so optimistic? And I don't know if you could tie in, like if you had any advice for your younger self, what would that be?
Well, I like the way you phrase the question, rather than say give some advice to other people. My younger self, I could have used a lot of 83-year-old advice when I was younger. What got me in trouble most of my younger years is maybe not the words I say, but the inflection of my voice. I have the ups and downs in my voice, and lots of times when I'd be correcting my kids, it wasn't the words I was saying; it was the inflection of my voice.
That's good to remember when you're communicating with someone.
But think about what you're going to say and don't say it.
Yeah, put some thought into what you say because you can't take it back. That's good advice for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I would love is if we could finish off by you reading this poem that you wrote.
Okay.
I love that it's about an angel and a cowboy. So if you could go ahead and read that, I'd appreciate it.
Well, I apologize for not being able to recite it. I had that stroke or accident before that. It took
That's all good.
Lost a lot of memory loss, and
you're doing just fine.
You can't even remember your own words. But it'd come out a little better if I could remember it. It's a story about an angel coming down to earth to do her job that she was given to do, and she ended up loving the music and the Cowboys, and didn't make it back in time. In fact, well, I'll read it here and you get the rest of it. Well, I saw an angel a long time ago when she was testing her short wings. She crashed one night while she was flying too low, checking up on us human beings. She landed where people were dancing about, and the lights and the sounds, they kept changing. So she decided to stay and check things out. Since her wings, they needed some rearranging. Now, nobody could see her special flying gear. Remember, she was an angel in a beguiling disguise. Seems that she had a job to do somewheres near. so it was best to fold them wings and not surprise. Well, the most curious thing about her fitting in, she seemed to gravitate around cowboys. And earthly magnetism, it seems, was getting under her skin. Those men, their music, and their gentle, genuine joys. It shouldn't have taken her long, because she was pushing the time clock. And she knew that this type of mission to fulfill, just because she crashed into the best of the stock, only meant that she'd be paying the bill. So she charmed an old cowboy right off his feet, the way she could laugh and joke with him. And her gentle touch was to him a real treat, with the way she ruffled her wings in the wind. Strangely, he was just the one she was supposed to check on. She heard it later in a tender message from home. The trouble now was the part about her getting long gone. When she'd finished her work, she should have flown. But that cowboy, he got roped, hog-tied and branded, just like the critters he'd known, by that angel when she crash-landed. And in her wings, she touched his heart. He got thrown. Now that angel, she knew she'd flew too low, and she crashed before she should. And she's a-paying that bill, the old cowboy knows, because he's fixing her wings real good. He's trying to put them feathers together, and he's still working real hard for the brand. But all he's got is baling wire and a sack of old baling wire, barbed, and old leather, while he's praying real hard that you'll stay on the land.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing.
Sorry, I stumbled on it.
It's so great. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. And
My pleasure.
Hope you enjoyed the podcast, and we'll talk again soon.
Adios.
Hello, my name is Stuart Roush. I'm the sales director here at Pueblo Norte Senior Living. I just wanted to take a minute or two to share with you who we are and what we do. Essentially, we have independent living, assisted living, and in the late summer of 2023, we will be adding memory care units as well. Speaking of that, what sets us aside from some of our competitors is the fact that we use the Montessori model in our memory care. Also, we're located on 22 acres of land here in the center of Scottsdale. Please give myself or Fran a call for more information, as well as we can set up a personalized tour for you. Thank you so much, and we hope to hear from you soon.
Hello, I'm Tanya from Homewell Care Services. Homewell provides care for people at home, from help with medication management to showers or meals preparation and any customized tasks that give people a little help so they can continue to live as independently as possible at home. Homewell has a unique program here at Pueblo Norte where we independent living residents can receive care at a discounted price. Since we have an office here on site, our caregivers can stop by throughout the day, helping as needed. Then they can leave and come back a few hours later to help with something else. This comes in handy when someone needs help. For example, getting up ready in the morning or ready for bed at night. Sometimes temporary care is needed after people recover from surgery. And we have some residents who love knowing caregivers will stop by throughout the day. They think of us as their personal assistants. We can do a free assessment anytime, and our caregivers are valley-wide, whether you live in the community or private home. Homewell is licensed, bonded, and insured, and all our qualified caregivers are experienced and background checked. So, for peace of mind, if you benefit from care at home, or if you're a family member who would feel better knowing a loved one is getting the care needed, give us a call. We can do a free assessment anytime. Our program is offered at several independent living communities, and we offer care throughout the Valley, so give us a call today.
Hello, I'm Heather with Arizona Songbird Senior Living Solutions. I hope you enjoy my podcast, Songbird Senior Stories. My goal is to bring to a larger audience stories from some of the amazing seniors that I meet every day. I work with our senior population, and there are so many amazing and interesting hobbies I've heard about, and careers and veterans. And so when I help seniors and their families, I'm just always stunned at the stories that I hear. So what I do is I help seniors find senior living, and my services are free since I'm paid a percentage of the first month's rent by the community when I bring a resident. Now you have to contact me first, so don't reach out to senior living communities that you're considering or an online company. A lot of times they're in a different state, and I'm local, so I actually can tour with you. I personally know so many sales directors or group home owners, so you're going to benefit from my knowledge as I match you up with what the best fit is going to be. So you're going to save a lot of time working with me. I'm going to make calls, check availability, pricing, and look in your desired location as well. So sometimes I can negotiate your terms, whether it's price or move-in date or the deposit or extend a manager's special. And I'm going to come up with a tour schedule so we can usually tour together. I know it can be so overwhelming, these big decisions that you have to make on your own. So it just feels good when you're not all by yourself and making these decisions. Now, since I worked in a community personally and I manage two homes, two group homes, you're going to know that you can trust my knowledge, and it will take into consideration the features and benefits, location, budget, most important, the care needs of who you love that we're trying to place, okay? So I am licensed by the Arizona State Board of Nursing Care Administrators, so I will bring that knowledge to the table as well. So feel free to call me anytime, and I'll do a free consultation. Thank you.